Welcome to your deep dive. Today we're diving into the world of Dr. Joe Dispenza, all about rewiring our brains. You send over those clips from the Jay Shetty podcast. Fascinating stuff.
Oh yeah, Dr. Dispenza's work is really mind-blowing. He's like a leading expert in neuroscience and neuroplasticity. That idea that our brains aren't, set in stone, like they're always changing and adapting.
Okay, so our brains are like Play-Doh then. We can like mold them. That's a little intimidating.
That's a really good way to think about it. And yeah, it is kind of intimidating, right? Because like Dr. Dispenza stresses that our thoughts, they aren't just these passing things. They have a real impact on our bodies, our emotions, even our genes, he says.
Hold on, our genes. Come on, really? How?
Repetition, repetition, repetition. So it's like every time you have a thought, you're kind of creating this tiny little pathway in your brain. And the more you repeat that thought, the more that pathway gets stronger. Until it's like this super highway of belief.
So like if I keep thinking I'm not good enough, I'm paving the way to like a lifetime of self-doubt.
Yeah, kind of. But, and this is the good news, we can create new pathways, you know, leading to like positive beliefs and outcomes. Dr. Dispenza uses this analogy. Imagine your brain is like a computer.
Okay, I can see that.
And we can kind of go into the operating system and rewrite those negative programs that are running. It's not easy, but, it is possible.
So that's where all the visualization stuff comes in, right? Like athletes picturing themselves winning.
Yeah, exactly. But Dr. Dispenza takes it further. He's saying that like when we vividly imagine things we want, it can almost like trick the brain into thinking it's already happened.
No way. So our brains can't even tell the difference between something we imagine and something that really happens.
Well, yeah, especially when we factor in emotions. That's when it gets really powerful.
Ah, so it's not just visualizing it. It's got to be about feeling it too.
Exactly. Dr. Dispenza says that feeling the emotions of like our desired future before it even happens, that's super important. That's what really convinces the brain it's real.
Okay, so if I want to break a bad habit, I have to not just picture myself, succeeding, but actually feel the relief, the pride. Like I've already done it.
Yeah, spot on. It's like creating this blueprint for the brain to follow, but there's a bit of a catch.
Ah, there's always a catch. What is it?
It's not always like fun. Rewiring our brains, it can be really uncomfortable sometimes because what we're doing is trying to break free from these patterns that are like so ingrained in us. Yeah, it could be years, even decades of these patterns.
Oh, yeah. I feel the resistance already. Why is it so hard to change even when we know we should?
Our brains, they love what's familiar, even if it's familiar pain or familiar, self-sabotage. And when we try to stop those automatic thought patterns, like the brain is freaking out. It's like, wait, this is new. This is scary. Go back to what you know.
Like we're almost addicted to those old familiar feelings, even the bad ones. So how do we break that addiction? And Dr. Dispenza talks about leaving the bleachers and getting on the playing field. What does that even mean?
So that's getting into the good stuff. It's about like really owning our transformation. So imagine you're at a sporting event. You can sit in the bleachers, passively watching.
Or you can actually get down there and play.
Right, and that's what Dr. Dispenza wants us to do. Get involved, be active participants in rewiring our brains, not just, sit back and hope for change.
Okay, so I'm off the bleachers, ready to play. But where do we even start? Like, what's the first play?
Well, before we get to the playbook, let's talk about one of the big obstacles in this whole game, and that's stress. Dr. Dispenza, he really talks about how stress can just like sabotage everything.
Ugh, stress. It's such a buzzkill. It messes with my eating, my exercise, everything. Why is it so powerful over us?
When we're stressed, our bodies are pumping out those, stress hormones, and it puts us into survival mode. Our brains are on high alert, always looking for threats, and that makes it really hard to access those parts of our brain that are, ready for growth and change.
So stress keeps us stuck in those old thought patterns, running the same play over and over.
Yeah, pretty much. And here's where it gets personal, like, how have you noticed stress affecting your behavior? Just think about it for a minute. We'll pick this deep dive back up after the break.
It's true, though, when I get stressed, forget about healthy habits. It's like chips and ice cream all the way.
Oh, yeah, totally. Stress just throws us back into those old patterns. But Dr. Dispenza, he gives us some tools to fight back, right? Like breath work and meditation.
Yeah, I've heard all that, but honestly, sometimes it feels like who has the time to like add more stuff to my day?
I know, right? But even a few minutes, of breath work can make a difference. He's not saying you got to become some meditation guru overnight.
That's good to hear. Actually, I had this moment recently. I was freaking out about a work presentation, and I remembered this breathing thing someone had shown me, just like slow, deep breaths. And seriously, I calmed down so much.
See, it works, and there's science behind it. Breathwork can actually change your brain waves. You know, it helps you become more like balanced emotionally.
Wait, so we can like control our nervous system with our breath?
Pretty much, it's all about these brainwave states, like alpha waves, those are relaxed, creative vibes, and then beta waves, those are more alert, focused.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Well, Dr. Dispenza says different breathing patterns can shift you between those states. So like slow, deep breaths, those can help you go from, anxious beta to chill alpha.
Like a toolkit for your emotions. I love it. What about meditation? Those big group meditations he does? What's up with that?
This is where it gets really cool. He uses these things called random event generators, or regs, to study like the effects of group meditation.
Regs, what are those?
Think of it like a fancy coin flip machine. It should give you random results, right? Like 50-50 heads or tails.
Makes sense.
But get this, when a big group of people meditate together with a shared intention, the results aren't random anymore.
Hold up. So they're influencing the machine just with their minds.
The research says it's possible. And it's not just him. Other studies show similar things, like with prayer and healing.
So we're all connected. Like our thoughts can actually affect stuff outside of us.
That's the idea. Pretty wild, huh?
Totally. And it makes me think of something else he said about our nervous system being the greatest pharmacist in the world.
Oh, that's a good one. He's saying our thoughts and emotions can actually, like, heal us. When we feel good stuff, love, gratitude, our body creates all these good chemicals.
So it's like we have this inner pharmacy of good vibes.
Exactly. And it's not just about feeling good. It can even affect our genes, like how our body fights inflammation, our immune system, all that.
So we really can heal ourselves from within. But then why are so many people still sick if it's that easy to change your thoughts?
Good point. We got to be real. Our bodies have limits. If you've been stressed for years, negative thinking, bad habits, it takes time to change that.
No quick fixes, huh? It's a process.
Yeah, it's a journey. And it's not just our own minds we're dealing with. The news, social media, even, family, it can all be negative.
Like swimming upstream against all that, how do we stay positive?
Dr. Dispenza says, be aware of what you're thinking. Make a choice to focus on the good stuff. Not ignoring problems, but, not letting them drag you down.
Like building up a shield of positivity.
Exactly. And that shield, it helps others too. Remember, we're all connected. The more peace we have inside, the more we spread it around.
So like as we change ourselves, we're changing the whole world a little bit.
That's what he's saying. It's kind of like we're all in this big experiment and we all play a part.
It's pretty amazing, right? Like this whole interconnectedness thing makes you think about how much impact we have, just by being ourselves.
Yeah, it really does. And how important it is to work on ourselves. Not just for us, but for everyone.
So we covered a lot today. Thoughts, meditation, the whole shebang. What really stood out to you about Dr. Dispenza's work?
You know what's fascinating? How he kind of brings together ancient wisdom and like modern science. This idea that thoughts shape reality. It's not new, right? Like mystics, spiritual teachers, they've been saying this forever.
Right, right.
But now we've got science backing it up.
It's like science is catching up to what people have always kind of known in their gut.
Exactly. And that opens up so many possibilities for, like, understanding ourselves, our place in the world, all of it.
It's kind of a relief, too, to think we're not just, puppets of fit. We can actually create our own reality.
That's the big takeaway, We have so much power, more than we think, to change our thoughts, our emotions, our lives.
So for someone who's just starting out with all this, like, brain rewiring stuff, what's the first step?
He always says, start small, be consistent, even a few minutes each day. Makes a difference over time.
Just like building any habit, right?
Exactly. And don't worry too much about, like, the right way to do it. Just find something you enjoy, something you'll actually stick with.
So what are some things people can try?
So many. Mindfulness, gratitude journaling, breath work, even just, being in nature. It all helps.
Finding what works for you.
Yep. And, it won't be perfect. There'll be times you resist, you fall back into old habits. It's normal.
Got to be kind to ourselves, right?
Absolutely. And remember, you're not alone in this. There are so many people out there exploring this stuff. Connect with them. Learn from each other. It helps.
This has been such an awesome deep dive. I feel so inspired to like put all this into practice, Be more aware of my thoughts, my actions, and really use this power we have to make a difference.
And that's what it's all about, stepping into your full potential, creating a life that's, full of purpose and joy.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today on this incredible journey. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep rewiring those brains.